Boom.
What's up, baby?
Dude, that week one was insane.
Insane. Probably the best game I've ever seen Sunday night. Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens.
That game was just like 81 points in total.
Yeah, 81 points in total. If you had the over, you hit. FYI. But a lot of back and forth. A lot of times where people thought the Bills were dead in the water. And I'll just tell people Josh Allen is for real this year. Not that he hadn't been in the past, but he is for real. There's probably all of two people on planet Earth that I think that would come back from a deficit like that. That's Patrick Mahomes and now Josh Allen and used to be Aaron Rodgers. But to say the least, I think that he is a franchise quarterback. We all knew that, and this just shows he means business.
Yeah, well, if you didn't draft Josh Allen and he's on waivers, you better pick him up. Like like
LOL.
honestly, anybody who drafted Josh Allen now, you should be more comfortable saying, "Okay, I took the right QB1." Like instead of Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts, like you feel safe with that. And everybody that was involved in that game got a piece. As you like to say, they all ate a little bit. James Cook,
Yeah,
Dalton
I mean,
Kincaid,
coming
Keon
into this.
Coleman.
Yeah, coming into the season, my boy Keon Coleman, Infinity, and Keon Coleman. Um, I really feel that, the Bills were a great group to target, especially their skill position, but none other than Josh Allen because they had the fifth easiest schedule. They did that to a Baltimore defense. What are they going to be doing to defenses going forward? That remains to be seen. Yes, it is only week one. I would temper expectations. Josh Allen is not always going to go out like that. I feel like he might maybe score 20 points against our New York Jets, but we'll get into that conversation at a later date.
Yeah, let's just say too, they're at a sell high type of opportunity right now. Not Josh Allen, you don't ever sell him, but let's say you wanted to trade like a James Cook or a Dalton Kincaid would be a great example. Like these guys are good trade bait right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are itching for some moves. So let's talk about some of the fantasy guys that were impacted by this past weekend. Number one, the thing just happened. Tank Bigsby was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. A bit of a shocker, but nevertheless, you see Travis Etienne had so much production over the weekend. I think that they were like, hey, we can get some picks back. We lost a bunch of picks with the Travis Hunter deal. Let's get some pickbacks, get rid of Tank. And now, yeah, I feel bad for Tank Bigsby managers, but do you think this affects Saquon managers at all, or what? You
Well,
think
I
any?
mean, let's talk about what it does for Philadelphia. They did give up a 5 and a 7 for Bigsby. I mean, there had been rumblings that he could do some kick returning, but you don't spend that kind of capital on a back unless you intend on using him. I think that the injury past of AJ Dillon and they're trying to limit Saquon's touches. Will Shipley is like an unknown, so why not take a flyer on
Yeah.
Tank Bigsby? And I don't think this hurts Barkley at all. This is just reassurance. But for me, I am dropping Will Shipley. I am staying away from him. For me, if Barkley is not in control, and let's say he misses an extended period of time or a game or two, I
Yeah, then
want
you
no
go.
piece of that backfield because
It'll be all
you
over.
know it's going to be Jalen Hurts galore.
Yeah, but honestly, if I had Tank Bigsby, I probably wouldn't drop him yet. I would wait and see his production for at least like 2 weeks and
But you
see.
see,
But
like
he's a drop
it,
candidate in the future to also get
yeah,
handcuffed.
for me, he's dropping right now. I'm dropping him right now. I need to make room, especially if you're 0-1, right, Mike? Like if you're 0-1 in a league, you don't have time to wait on a Tank Bigsby. You need to fill out your roster with guys that can win right now and maybe have some legitimate handcuffs
Yeah,
rather than being in a murky situation.
I've actually am in the middle of doing the same thing in our league actually, which was, I see you too. I see you making a lot of moves on the waiver wire. I'm gonna show Pumas. Look at these. Look at these. Put them up, Len. Put some. screenshots up.
Yeah, this morning
I try to make sure I have, yeah, guys ready to win
right, I
right
made
now,
some
and I
moves, and I
pick some
know
guys
some of our
off.
league mates made some moves. In all my leagues, I made moves. Whether I won, lost, I won in our league. I was 3-4 in week one. 3 out of 4 wins I got in our league, and I felt like a big pick. One of the two pickups for me, right, that I got in my other leagues. Number one was Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman for me was a guy that was number one on my board. And then number two was Harold Fan Jr. I think like this
Big
guy,
Browns guy.
yeah, yeah, two Browns guys. And it might sound funny, but I believe that Joe Flacco loves the tight end. Similar to Lamar Jackson, coming out of that Baltimore system, he loved throwing to the tight end, loved having a running game. And, I just feel like he just feels comfortable with those guys and Cedric Tillman over the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to get into some of those guys. I drafted Tillman in 2 leagues. I love him so much, and unfortunately I don't have him in everyone, but he's definitely a guy you got to get on there. A couple quick injury news. Let's see, we got George Kittle just got put on the IR, so please prepare for, if you have George Kittle to sign a couple of tight ends. Brock Purdy, he also will be possibly missing a week or two, maybe more. He's got toe and shoulder injury. Brock Bowers left the game. It was precautionary, but he should play. Drake London left the game, possible AC joint sprain, but they also said he might play also. So, yeah, I mean, we gotta, there's a lot of guys that got hurt. And then, of course, the one that happened while we were filming last time, Xavier Worthy. So, this is a big news for Chiefs owners, anybody that has any players, especially a Worthy guy, you want to look to pick up some pieces.
Yeah, no, a lot of people might overlook this week's waiver wire, but I don't. Whether you won or you lost some players, you have to make adjustments no matter what. You always have to be on your toes, not your heels. Especially you lose a guy like Xavier Worthy. Where is Patrick Mahomes going with the ball? Hollywood Brown is a great option. You got Tyquan Thornton, my boy. So those are some things that I think can materialize. I actually really think Thornton anytime touchdown, if you want to bet.
Yeah, Thornton, yeah, he should be hot for sure. And honestly, yeah, any of those teams right now, like the 49ers specifically, who else? Who else did we just mention? The 49ers, and then I
The Kansas
guess
City.
Kansas City, those two teams in terms of target distribution, everything, there's going to be some people on the waiver wire that you could pick up that we're going to go over. But yeah, the Brock Bowers one, Drake London, I wouldn't be too worried about it, but
Right.
I would still prepare to have some people. Now, I'm going to read through some of my top waiver picks. I'll read all mine and I'll explain them real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go and do yours. I now again, there's waivers already went through this week, but there's probably guys that are on there that you can add right now that could either be beneficial to you in the future or you could use them maybe this week. But I don't know. But pay attention to some of the names on here. Number one, I put for QB. Michael Penix. I loved how this week he had shown a lot more rapport with some of the players he already been with. Bijan looked great. Drake London had about 15 targets. And most importantly, he put some legs on the ground. He did run for a touchdown. He didn't have that many yards, only about 21 yards or so, but a couple carries. That's what you want to look for in these leagues. So Michael Penix, who's probably not on a team in your league, I'd look to pick him up. Running back. This sounds crazy. There's not many running backs I feel like this year, and it's very important to at least have some solid pieces in these first couple weeks since we see what the distribution is like. I'm gonna go with Kyle Manungai, especially if you own DeAndre Swift, because I saw how his usage was in that game against the Vikings on Monday. DeAndre Swift was all over the field. He was pretty much the main running back in. His snap percentage was high. Kyle Malunga, if anything happens to hit to DeAndre Swift, he's an immediate plug and play. So just to be clear too, DeAndre Swift had 81% snap percentage. Wide receiver, Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston, we all know he's what he is. For a couple of years, he's had a lot of problems, especially with drops. But this year, he looks like he means business. I feel like if you're low at wide receiver depth and you're looking for an extra piece, he's a great third, fourth wide receiver to have. So put me in that situation and bring me that problem, you better add Quentin Johnson. And last but not least, Jawan Johnson, tight end. Now, I know it sounds crazy because he's older, 28 years old, but to me, Jawan Johnson has always been that dude. He just was never in the right system. And he had 11 targets the other day. He's definitely he's definitely not the hottest thing out there right now, but if you need, this is why I'm mentioning him specifically because let's say Brenton Strange is not available, let's say Jonnu Smith is not available, or Harold Fannin Jr. And these are guys that people are looking at right now. He's a great piece with those 11 targets and the new Kellen Moore offense. I feel like he could be a nice little sneaky tight end to put you up at least 12 points, especially if you're stacked at other positions. So I'm looking to possibly add these guys wherever wherever they're available if I need them. Of course, there's other people available too. Like we mentioned the Hollywood Browns. We've mentioned let's say some of those backups like Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, and whatnot. So those guys, obviously most likely not available, but these are some other guys that you could probably add right now if you're in serious trouble.
Yeah, Mike, I totally agree with you. And people might say, well, it's only week one, but week one becomes week four, and week four becomes week eight. You need to stop the bleeding as fast as possible. For me, to lead it off, like I said, my boy Cedric the Entertainer, Cedric Tillman, dude, he was a stud, a complete stud week one. I mean, this guy right now is 34% owned in majority of leagues. So you could go get him most often. Dude, he had 5 receptions for 52 yards, a touchdown, 8 targets. Like, come on, how do you get better than that for a guy that most people didn't even draft? I feel like Joe Flacco will continue to look at him. I mean, Baltimore, a lot of people and the Vegas bettors out there, the line is like at 11 right now, Baltimore minus. So for the 80% of the time, the Browns are going to be coming back. They're possibly past game script. They're going to have to throw. So Cedric Tillman, if you're starving at receiver, look to that. Another guy, I'm going to get really deep here. We're going to go Kareem Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I want a league like this. I want a matchup, right? And he got me 4 points. He had 5 rushing attempts, right? 16 yards, 2 receptions. But with the injuries, I feel like he's going to be utilized more in Andy Reid's system. He knows the system. And if you noticed a lot of times on third down, Pacheco wasn't in. They had a very even split, and they play against Philadelphia this week, Super Bowl rematch. And look what Javonte Williams did to Philly, right? They had a lot of departures after that Super Bowl. And I love Kareem's schedule coming up. He has a couple of, great matchups. Baltimore, the Giants, Sunday night with the Giants next week. I really feel like this is somebody that you could possibly stash. Pacheco coming off that injury. Who knows if he re-injures. If you're starving at running back RB2 or maybe even a flex spot, why not throw in a Kareem Hunt? Goal line when they get down there. They don't have much receiving depth right now. If, Xavier Worthy does play, go with a Kareem Hunt. And then my third option is we're gonna stick in Kansas City. It's Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown um, did do well when he was on the field after Xavier Worthy did go out. I mean, he saw what, like 10 targets. I mean, I feel like Hollywood Brown can be a difference maker until Xavier Worthy comes back, until Rashi Rice comes back. But, it remains to be seen. But again, if you're starving at receiver, I would prefer someone like a Hollywood Brown over a Cuge. We do have to remember that that was week one, and Cuge has never put up numbers like this or any consistency. Can this be his breakout year, Mike? I don't know. But I do know is Jim Harbaugh has won in this league using that wing T offense. He had offensive linemen running the ball, playing defense. That's their go-to. So for all those people out there that think Justin Herbert's going to win an MVP all of a sudden, think again because that is not the offense that he's put in. That was that game. This is going to be this game. And that's my TED Talk.
Yeah, honestly, I'm definitely all about Hollywood over Quentin Johnston, and I do believe game script matters, but
I know people will get on
shit.
me like, Hollywood, you probably won't even have him for a long time. I get that. I get that. Just some numbers from last game, Mike. He had 10 receptions for 99 yards, 40 yards receiving, 40 yards. Oh, 40 yards receiving, and then 16 targets. 16 targets. I
16.
said
Yeah.
10. 16.
I kept seeing him on every play catch. I was like, oh, damn, Hollywood's back.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
remember him 3 years ago. He was great, but he just couldn't stay healthy. So he's another one
No,
of
he
those
was good
guys.
with those Kyler Murray teams, in Arizona.
But let's say you messed up in the draft, or you caught a bunch of injuries, or these are guys that you could add right now in a redraft league that are going to produce you, and that's why I'm saying you could add them. And I feel like these first 3 weeks are so important. It's so crucial because after these weeks, unless there's a major injury, nobody really becomes that relevant. This is where we see the Puka Nakuas and the Kyron Williams and the Devon Achans. This is where we see those guys emerge in the first couple weeks of the season, and everyone starts picking them up. Like these are the guys. So you better make the moves now. I know you saw that I added Justin Fields. I couldn't believe he was still there. I know you had him at a second, you dropped him, but I was considering
Yeah.
not going for him, but and losing my waiver claim. But I was like, I need to get somebody now. Like I might be in trouble if I can't have a good quarterback, and
No,
that's what
and
you
that
got to
was a
do.
good pickup by you. Again, I've had Fields in the past. He can win you a league with his legs. And you know what? He had some accurate passes to Garrett Wilson, but we'll see what, this game brings. A
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
people harp on what these players did last time, but this is a new week, a new team. Um, let's see what he does,
Yeah.
but temper expectations, but not a bad ad. You basically got him for free. Why not?
I mean, for real. And so let's go over that real quick before we get into the Thursday night preview. I want to talk. We've predicted so much stuff, man, and we have to get all of it out there. You already see we've been posting about it, but let's go over what did we predict about the season and what we didn't, so what I predicted and what I did not. So I'll go real quick. I'll go first. My prediction that I had was that Zach Charbonnet will play a significant role in the Seahawks offense this year. And you saw how this last game was. He almost outtouched Charbonnet. And I mean, Charbonnet almost outtouched Walker. And in this case, I feel like it's, partially because he's coming back from injury, but Charbonnet had a 58% snap percentage compared to Walker's 40%. So even if Walker is coming back from injury, that means he's not going to be healthy anytime soon. Zach Charbonnet has proven this year in and year out that he can outwork Ken Walker and he can play more. Like, and that's the key thing. And I said, so that was one thing that we noticed, or that I noticed that I said, he would do, and that's exactly what we saw. And then the one thing I did not predict correctly was that Jets players would be irrelevant. Yet on Sunday, 1 o'clock, I'm watching it, and partially because I'm a Jets fan, I'm a little biased, just like you. I always feel like the Jets are going to be like shit, but they came out looking a lot better than I expected. Brees Hall looked great. He didn't really split the work with Braylon Allen like they thought they would. Garrett Wilson still got his touches, still scored a touchdown, and Justin Field looked sharp. And I feel like I totally misjudged that based on practice reports, what we were seeing in preseason, the games, the footage, and I think these guys are legit and they're gonna play and they're gonna have a good year if they stay healthy. So what did you predict? What did you not?
Okay, so I would say predict would be my boy Keon Coleman Sunday night. I mean, I still believe that A, he'll be a league winner, and B, come this time next year, you will be drafting him in the top 5 rounds. He is going to be the Buffalo Bills' number one wide receiver. Mike, he had 8 receptions, 112 receiving, 8 receptions, 112 yards receiving, and a touchdown. 11 targets. You just can't make that up. 11 targets. Josh Allen was looking his way. He's 77% owned. That means there is some league out there that does not have just Keon Coleman on a roster. Go get him because he is going to win your league. And they have the fifth easiest schedule in the league. Come on, I was all over that. I'm gonna stick by it. They got the New York Jets this week. Come on, give me a break. Something I felt like I wasn't particularly on tap with, right, or had too much knowledge of, even though I felt really good about it, was the split of the Monday night game of the Minnesota backfield, right? I felt truly that Aaron Jones had more of a grip on this, but I really feel like not even 50-50. It looked like 60-40 Jordan Mason, man. Like Jordan Mason was taking over. Other than that catch in the end zone for 30 yards from JJ to Aaron Jones, he would have had a terrible stat line. I mean, Aaron Jones at least saved his day with that touchdown. I mean, he had 8 rushing attempts, 23 yards, 3 receptions for 44 yards. That's the big one, the big play on 3 targets and the touchdown. Other than that play, if you played Aaron Jones and he didn't score, you would have been miserable. So I feel like going forward, my gut is telling me they brought in Jordan Mason for a reason. It's going to be, even though Aaron Jones is the starter technically, I feel like they're leaning more towards Jordan Mason, if not now, later, and more down the stretch.
Yeah, that one for sure. I mean, I'm really happy with it just because I have Jordan Mason in a lot of leagues, but I think it's going to be a really tricky situation on like who to start because it looks like Aaron Jones is getting a lot of the passing work and Jordan
It,
Mason is the workhorse. So
y- y-
they're going to split everything.
you know what it reminds me of? It, if I could make a similarity, the Washington Commanders of last year. So Jordan Mason would be your Brian Robinson, and Aaron Jones would be your Eckler,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like both will have standalone value.
Yeah, I think so for sure. You could definitely play him. I mean, flex worthy to say the least. So
R2 flex position, especially if you're lacking again at, and you went zero RB and you're starving for a second RB. Why not take a dart throw at Aaron Jones? You know someone's gonna be wanting to get him off their hands.
yeah, definitely. I mean, these are guys though now that I'm like. I'm so confident in just because of the offense. Like after seeing JJ McCarthy, who looked pretty good, he came back and the kid's got a lot of heart. Those are the guys that I
Oh
love on my
yeah.
team. I saw you drafted him. Great, great pick.
Thank
And
you.
and this is why a guy like that is a perfect stash at the end because then, you never know what to expect with the rookie. They might pop off just like this. I mean, and we already knew he was good. And now it's just like how good, how good
I
is
was
he?
putting up the 2 1s. I got him in the 11th round, baby.
But and I loved it. Like that was such a nice pick. Getting guys like him, Justin Fields seeing that. Michael Penix had a great game. There's a lot of these young quarterbacks that you could have got cheap and that could probably win you your league. And J McCarthy is one of them, which is kind of why I like Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Like no matter what, they're on a good offense. They're gonna score. They got great receivers out there. They got a great tight end. So getting them in the game will put them in the red zone. This could lead to points for you in fantasy. So the big Thursday night game tomorrow night, Commanders, Packers. I'm excited for this one.
Me too. I mean, this is a great matchup. And the first Thursday night game of the year. I think it's going to be epic. And you already see that for the Green Bay Packers on their side, Micah Parsons is already making his presence known, against the Detroit Lions last week. For me, my question to you, Mike, is, as a fellow friend. who would you play? Would you play like a Packers defense? I'm doing a would you rather for a defense. Would you rather Packers defense or would you rather the Cowboys against the New York Giants, the inept Giants with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, no, without a doubt, I'm going to play the Dallas defense. I have to. I thought they even looked pretty good in some plays against the Eagles, but just most importantly because of who they're up against. And I think that in the end, Jaden Daniels can move. That offense can present you with a lot of different situations that, they could probably score on the Packers, unlike the Lions were able to. And as opposed to the Giants that just looked awful, and Russell Wilson was just bad. And I don't think that that's yeah, I don't think that that's even a question. Like I'd have to play Dallas.
Okay. I mean, I feel like they don't get any, they don't force many turnovers, right? And I feel like with Parsons, I just feel like even if the Commanders do score, Green Bay can get a couple of sacks and force some turnovers with Xavier McKinney in the back. So just wanted to just
Packers are a
get your
great
thought
defense.
process on
That's
that.
a good one though, yeah, for sure. Then now what about like the top plays in the game? Like who do you really love besides like no, tell me, even if it's the obvious, who do you really love in this game?
So obviously, I really love Josh Jacobs. I know it sounds
Hmm.
obvious. You're playing him. He's your RB1. Josh Jacobs is an immediate start for me. But another guy that's an immediate start for me, which people might think sounds a little crazy, I'm going Bill. You know,
Yes.
I feel like Bill can get a touchdown here just because you have Eckler, who's a little bit banged up. Christian Rodriguez wasn't even wasn't even suited up for this past week. He was a healthy scratch. So it's basically Bill, Jeremy Nichols, and a banged up Eckler. I really feel like this is going to be Bill's show out party. I know it's against a good defense in the Packers, but as you all know, hopefully you all play PPR, which is the standard. I feel like Bill could get those PPR receptions and he will be an impact in the pass game. So for me, Josh Jacobs, Ja'Cory Krosky, the running backs in this game, I'm firing them both up.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's a great play. And I would do it no matter what with Josh Jacobs. Of course, he's guaranteed, but I'm also guaranteeing an anytime touchdown for Josh Jacobs. He had 20, almost 20 touches last game. Well, he had 19 touches um, on the ground, then he had a target, so 20 opportunities. He produced 14 fantasy points, but he's obviously destined for more. And the biggest thing I would say, I guess, about Bill is that, like, because Austin Eckler's hurt right now, that's exactly what you would see out of him. More usage, and it's Thursday night, so I could see him pop off. And honestly, my real top play that I feel like is a big tricky one to people is Debo Samuel. If I have him on the bench after seeing what I just saw, I've seen a lot of people already put him into the flex position for this week. Obviously, if you have him, you got to put him into your wide receiver spot because he's playing early this week on a Thursday. But if he's your third guy that you were kind of like iffy about who am I going to put in that as that extra player, for sure it's Debo Samuel. You got to play him. He looks like he's going to get a lot of work, a lot of opportunities. And against these Packers, I feel like the run game might be stopped a little bit. They might have to throw the ball and put the ball in the air, or these nice little um, wheel rounds like they do with Debo, and that's kind of what I would hope to see out of him. So Debo Samuel, I feel like is a must play if you have him.
Yeah, no, I love the Debo Samuel thing, and it makes me feel good because I have him in my starting lineup this week in one of my other leagues, so that helps me feel great. Um, a big sit for me, not to be a negative Nancy, but a big sit for me is Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed did score, but I feel like in this game, the Packers are gonna want to control it with running the ball, right? And I feel like Jaden Reed will do that to you. He'll score, put up a bunch of points, and then you'll bank on him the next week, which he stinks on a Thursday night. Trust me.
Mm.
and he will give you a fat zero or a singular digit, which we cannot have. So um my suggestion to everyone is temper your expectations with Jaden Reed, and he's a big sit for me.
It's funny because on the other side, I was going to say the same thing about Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, you have to fade him this game. And it's mainly because of the uncertainty at that wide receiver position. Especially if they're up, they're going to run a lot. They already like to run a lot. Yeah, I think there's going to be just way too much chaos right there coming out of there. So I would just sit both of these Green Bay receivers, being if you have other players to play. If you must play them, I guess, but really look at your lineup carefully.
Right, like this week could be Wicks, or Romeo Dobbs. Like we don't know, but I do know one thing, and with when it comes to watching a Green Bay game, it's death, taxes, and Josh Jacobs scoring.
So
And
so then Jaden Reed over Jaden Reed, would you rather pay Debo Samuel or Jaden Reed?
oh, Debo without a doubt.
Without a
Debo
doubt.
without Jaden Reed is like I told you, is a fade. Who's your oh yeah, you did pick Matthew Golden. So we're just on the Green Bay receiving core.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use that though for a nice reel, so I had to get you saying it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what's a good one too?
Hello,
Sneaky.
popping.
You know what's a
Cha-ching.
sneaky one? Like if you have a George Kittle injury, my boy Zach Ertz, this dude finds
Yeah.
a way to find the end zone, and don't be fearful of the Green Bay defense. I project that Green Bay's going to be winning. What does that mean? Jaden Daniels is going to have to make plays. A lot of people were scared of the Buffalo defense. Look what Lamar Jackson did to them. So I feel like with a running quarterback, they could subside that. It really doesn't matter too much about that. Yeah, they might get a turnover here and there, a sack here and there, but like Rex Ryan once said about Michael Vick, it's like catching a butterfly. So, Jaden Daniels is a stud, and don't be scared to go out and play a Zach Ertz if you're starving at tight end. If you have an Evan Ingram injury
Oh
or
yeah.
George Kittle injury, that is I feel like a great option to go to.
Yeah, because most leagues, if you have Kittle, you don't have another tight end. And in other
Right.
and other players will stash two, two tight ends, maybe three if they're crazy like me in a situation like this. But I mean, in that case, you might have to go to the bo bottom of the barrel. And yes, Zach Ertz, awesome start. And I just hope that tomorrow's game is not delayed because I'm so sick of these rain delays, storm delays. Like, andale, get the game back going. I want to play, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping
This
we
is
don't see that.
yeah, this is why Puma's proposal of a dome stadium in all 32 places would grow great. Well, all like wait, take away two, 30 because the Chargers share with the Rams and the Jets share with the Giants. So
It
all
would
30
change.
locations,
Oh, it
we
would
go
change a lot
indoors.
of things in football. But yeah, man, look, that'll do it. We're gonna get this out to you before the game. So if you're watching, enjoy the game. Again, Mike Meal. Oh wait, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. Puma, you gotta remind me, bro.
Yeah, man, like we also have a real life too. So, we're half asleep doing these, but we're bringing the energy. They know to like, comment, and subscribe. They better.